Oshinoko is back. Yes, season 2, Oshinoko, it's finally here, and I could not be more excited. Although I do have to admit, the first 3 minutes sucked. I was like, I fired up the episode, and my hype levels are through the roof. After about not even a minute, I'm going, what are we doing? Are we really going to waste an entire 3 minutes of your first episode of the season doing a stage plays introduction? This is so boring. Please get on with it. And then the OP hits, and I'm super mixed on the OP. And then finally, the episode starts, and I'm like, we've already wasted almost 5 minutes. I hope you have a really good episode to work with here. I don't know, it almost feels like they were trying to push to that final punchline of Abiko going, I want to change everything. Which is odd because I checked out this segment in the manga. I haven't read beyond here, by the way. Mostly anime only. I'm just reading up to the points that were actually in the adaptation. And there was like 2 really good scenes they could have actually adapted. The first scene was, yes, Aqua and Kana first coming to the rehearsal and they run into Melt. And there's actually a significant point here to Melt. Yes, you get an indication from the episode itself that Melt he's changed. Which I knew that was going to happen way back here when they did that one show together. It seemed to indicate that Aqua kind of impressed on Melt to get better. And yes, in the skipped scene, Melt admits to it. Well, first he says, hey, you remember me? It's good to work together again. And both Kana and Aqua are just kind of sitting there with ... Yeah, good working with you again. He's like, wait, why did you have that long pause? They don't like him because he kind of screwed up that. He was not a good actor, is really what it is. And he says specifically that ever since then, he has been working to train himself. He's been trying to get better. And yeah, the episode, even in the anime, I got that indication. He's changed. He's doing something better. But at least we got confirmation there that, yes, he's been working really hard this entire time. The other scene they skipped was, yes, the 2 mangakas, Yoriko and this new one, Abiko, and she basically was going to help bring her there. And you have this little brief moment where Yoriko is talking about adaptations, which we got mostly into that in the first season, this idea of, yes, how toxic some adaptations can be. With the adaptation of Yoriko's work, that didn't go well. They just got a bunch of pretty boys. None of them can act. And yes, Kana was having to downgrade herself to not stand out too much. And so yes, her view of adaptations is kind of skewed. She's basically the entire time she's waiting for Abiko, she's thinking in her head about how, yes, there's so many people involved in an adaptation that it's hard to get changes done. Which yes, as we see from the final moment of this episode, that's going to be the case. That seems to be going to be the case. But yeah, she's talking about how sometimes if you don't keep track of it, the producer will just take it and do whatever they want with it. That's always the fear that these people have with their source material, that they're just going to take it, adapt it into an anime or something like that, and completely butcher it. But that's exactly what I love Oshinoko for. If people missed my coverage of the first season, that's what I loved Oshinoko for. It's an insight into the industry of entertainment in Japan that is so well done. Aka Akazaka has actually been involved with all these areas of adaptations and whatnot, so he knows the politics behind it. And so his writing in this manga is so good. But yes, I was kind of seeing the ending coming from a mile away. Like watching this first episode, as it was building up, there was so much focus on Akane and how she didn't like what they were doing with this character. They were getting into how, yes, the original mangaka, they had this character that Akane's playing was the love interest. But after some time, the character that Kana is playing, people started liking her more. So the mangaka changed it. So they pushed out Akane's character and they focused on Kana's character as the main love interest. And since they were so focused on the idea that her character was just thrown the wayside, my immediate thought went to, okay, politics of mangakas, politics of manga, all this kind of stuff and storytelling in Japan. What happened, Andrew? I immediately assumed, and this is probably what's going to come up, Abiko was probably told by the editor or the publisher, hey, people really like this character. Why don't you start focusing on this character? And so even though Abiko probably had plans to have the main character go to Akane's character, they probably at some point were pushed to have to snuff out her character. She's too boring. Boys like energetic, like they were talking about. Boys seem to like energetic girls, right? Yeah, definitely. She was told that she has to push this quiet, kind, and very conflicted character to the wayside because the main populace doesn't like it. Your fan base doesn't like this character. And what I think is going to happen, and what my assumption was going to be, my assumption was really in that Akane was going to stand up there and go, I want attention. I want this focus on me. They're all competitive. She's going to stand out there and try to compete with Kana and make people love the character. because there's not much to work with. So she was going to basically have to form her own character from the puzzle piece, like that whole analogy she gives of this idea of this puzzle pieces, which is what she did with Ai. She had to fill in all the puzzle pieces to figure out how Ai ticks based on just articles and videos and whatnot. She's going to have to do the same thing for this character. And she's going to create that character by filling in those gaps. And my assumption was going to be is that she was going to make the fans love that character. Despite the fact the manga completely kicked her out because nobody wanted her, she was going to make people like that character again. But it didn't really go that direction. I honestly thought that Akane was going to make people love the character again. But I think it's going to still work in my whole headcanon that Abiko, the mangaka, loved that character and hated that she had to get pushed out. So this was her chance to go, okay, well, they're so good acting. I want them to make my character come back. I want Akane to make my character come back. And there's a side of me that almost feels like this all feels kind of rote. I can't admit there's a way back here in the back of my head, there's a little spot where I go, I kind of feel like this is kind of weak writing, because why would a company hire a bunch of actors to come in to do stage play, and the one star stage performer, I mean, they have all these members of the the stage group. They have them involved too. So they have a lot of stage performers, but the main roles are being done by, well, the main character is being done by somebody that is very predominant. That's fine. But why is Akane, who this is her bread and butter, she has always been a stage play performer. That's what she was doing before she met Aqua. She was a big hit. So why is she playing the role of a character that is barely in the stage play? That doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't they have her play as Kana? Now, the actual director does imply that there's a competition that's happening here. They hired a bunch of people that are very competitive. And yes, somebody that he was very trusting with introduced them to Kana and Aqua. So there is a reasoning there, but it still doesn't make sense that why they would want Akane, who is supposed to be incredibly good, why would they have her playing the role of somebody that barely has any moment in the actual show? Doesn't make much sense to me, but it does play into, yes, telling me that obviously Akane is going to be a more predominant role than just that character. And that played into either her capturing the attention of people and making people fall in love with that character, or that, yes, what we see at the very end, Abiko, the mangaka, shows up and says, they're really good. Rewrite the whole thing. Which, yes, when she said that, I was like, yeah, I could see everybody in that room going, oh, no. Because they're like, what, 6 days into rehearsal? So they don't even have like maybe not even 3 weeks left. They have to put everything together and get it perfected. And it's probably going to take them, it could take them in that time in order to rewrite the entire thing. So when are they going to actually rehearse? Then they have to redo everything. Like if they do significant changes, like have Akane's character be more predominant, they're going to have to redo all of the stuff that's being done in the 2D, 2.5D performance. Because that's all visual effects and stuff. They have to have the art, the visual effects, the actual performance and everything. It's not just the actual members learning their lines. And even that, yes, they have to rehearse and memorize their lines. That's a big thing. So it's like, I kind of think going into the next episode, it's probably one of those things where they're like, Abiko, sensei, we understand. We understand. We'd love to, but, no, but no. But hey, they wouldn't have that big stand-up moment and just have them say no. But it's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's my assumption is that Abiko loved that character, and it's going to go right in line with Akane, who just really wants to compete, and she can't with her character currently the way it is. I kind of wish that Akane would have captured maybe Abiko. That would have been a cooler thing. If it is the case that Abiko changed her mind, it seemed like she came there, again, based on that skip content, it seemed like the mangaka came there with the intention that she wanted to say something. And it could be make what I wanted. But I was kind of hoping that the trigger point would have been, okay, Akane goes up there and performs her line, and she does something new that captures everybody, and then Abiko goes, that's what I wanted. And it gives her the encouragement to stand up. But it could be that mangaka wanted something that is going to be counter to that. It could be, I want that character removed. Just remove it. And then maybe Akane has to encourage her to keep the character. Who knows? We'll see. But that's my predictions currently, and it seems like the first episode kind of lined all that stuff up for me. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, the rest of the episode, again, mostly from Aqua's perspective, it's just really him sitting there and saying that, you know, acting, I'll never outdo people that actually do this, have the talent for it. He's not pushing himself. He wants to stay away from Kana because she's too troublesome. But he's constantly watching Kana, which is kind of interesting. Yes, Kana's side of the whole thing, yes, obviously, it seems like she's doing much better now that she's no longer having to keep herself kind of to the level of all these pretty boys. She's doing an excellent job. They kind of emphasize the idea that she's really good at responding to people, which is something that she had to learn to do, like Aqua says, learn to do in order not to rock the boat, basically. She wanted to react to those around her so that she can stay in line and keep her roles. Because before, yes, for those that don't remember from the first season, she was kind of snooty, and that got her in trouble. It got her kind of blacklisted. So she's trying to keep to everybody's level, which is kind of cool. That is one of those cool things, if this is what it's doing, having Taki come up there and say, hey, Kana, right? Don't hold back. He's like, stop holding back. And I think that was what kind of brought her out to just absolutely nail that scene. Which, I hope this is just a fluke with maybe the encoding process or the masters they sent over, but that whole scene with Taki and Kana, wow, really incredible. I love that. I seen it in the PV. Just him kind of swiping and you see all that paint kind of splatter. It was really, really cool. But the voice dialogue got drowned out. Like, if you have a good bass system, it gets drowned out. Like the wave noises and the sound effects in the background just completely drowned everything. I played it on a laptop with no subwoofer, and it didn't really bother it there because it couldn't bring out that bass. But yeah, with like an actual sound system, just completely drowned out the performance, which I hate because, yeah, their performances were fantastic. Like the two of them, their performance in that whole thing was super cool. But again, this whole like scene just triggered that aspect that everybody's going to be competing with each other. And at least specifically that Kana might not hold back. Like this might be the one time she'll just stand up there and do what she can do when she's been trying to hold herself back for so long. And I think that's really fantastic. Taki was a little bit creepy though. I thought he was going to be like a middle-aged director or something like that. Like he's got that little stub thing going on. I'm like, wait, this dude, like, what was he, like 20? Not even 19 or something like that? I'm like, okay, sure. He looks like a worn down salaryman. This dude's an actor that everybody likes. He looks like a worn down salaryman. But no, most of this episode was Akane and her struggles with her role. But I like the whole little moment where she was talking to the director and the scriptwriter, which I like. She's like, yeah, I don't really like what they did to this character. And Aqua's like, well, why don't you ask him? He's like, right there. No, I can't do that. We have to talk to the directors. We can't even criticize other members of the group and what they do. All right. He walks over there and says, hey, she has a question. She's like, dude, what the hell? But no, I like this little moment because it does technically, there's a side of me that there's a give and take, really. When it comes to adaptations, there's a give and take. Like I said, the whole skipped part where it had Yoriko talking about adaptations, which, again, for people that forget, in the first season, that was their TV show they butchered. And it was all about, the producers wanting to get, they were a talent agency. They were wanting to get their pretty boys out there, even though they can't act, to advertise them. And so they ruined her actual work. When they adapted it, it ruined it. And again, like I said before, Akasaka has experience in this, and he is actually sort of parroting a lot of reality in what he's doing. So from Yoriko's side of it, yes, that's the worst case scenario. That's like the really bad points. I mean, even with like anime adaptations where they completely ruin the quality of it and everything and just make a butchered adaptation, or they just cut so much content. There's so much content removed that it just has no value to it. But in this case, they're kind of highlighting another side of it, which is, well, in the original manga, they cut this character because it wasn't that popular. So we're just going to make her overly simplified. Like even Akane said, there's not even any context in the manga to what this character is thinking because they just kind of pushed her out of the way. And so what the scriptwriter did, and he's like, yeah, and I understand that. I had to do what I had to do. I'm not happy with it. He's a fan of the manga. But yes, on a stage play, when they only have 2 hours and they have all these characters, you might as well condense her down even more. She's not that important. So what they're doing is, I like that little layout they have of there where it shows, okay, why is this character doing this? Well, this, I'm conflicted with this. I really want to do this. This is my whole choice. I want to do this, but I'm conflicted by this. There's all this stuff to say why she's attacking and why she's not attacking. And then it cuts over to the script play for the stage play, and it's literally, I'll kill you. Like, just passionately say, I'll kill you. It simplifies her character. Nobody has to think about it. move on to the important stuff. And again, it's tragic, but he is sort of lining it up with what the mangaka did with it originally, which again, I presume is going to be the choice of the actual publisher. They probably told Abiko, don't focus on this character, get her out of the picture. Everybody likes Kana's character. So it's like the two sides of adaptation that I really like looking into. The case where it's just, they just want to promote what they want to promote and they're using this as a vehicle and butchering it, to, yeah, we're trying to keep it pretty faithful and we only have so much time to work with, so we're going to have to tweak things a little bit. Which, yes, both of these things happen. And for what you're here for, is I mostly do anime. A lot of this happens with anime specifically. They either butcher it or they're trying to push their own material. They have a record label. They want to push some songs, so they're going to drag out these scenes too much. All that kind of stuff happens in adaptations. Yeah, Kana seems like she's getting super close to Taiki. And I wonder if it's because she kind of finds a kinship in him. Like, they were talking about how everybody's kind of formed their own cliques. They have the protagonist over here. They have the Lalai group over here. And then, yeah, over here, Aqua's just by himself. He doesn't want to get to know anybody. I like how Kana goes up and says, what are you looking at, Kana? Yep. You're supposed to deny it. I'm your girlfriend. You're supposed to deny it. It's like she's totally playing into this idea that she wants to get closer to Aqua, but there's like this understanding between the two of them. They're just doing it for work. But she's obviously trying to do anything she can in order to actually solidify it. I mean, she was doing that at the end of the last season, but yeah, even still, it's like she's looking at Kana and seeing what Kana's doing, how Kana has changed, and she's trying to improve herself. Akane in this episode is definitely doing a lot of things that's still showing that she is trying to figure out how to get better. And that was kind of the interesting thing that I had with Akane in the first season was, yes, her big transformation was, okay, well, I was incredible, so let me become I. And now here she's going, okay, now what makes Kana special? Well, she went off and did that idol thing. So what does she get from that? Confidence, whatever. She's still looking to other people for inspiration to improve herself, which can be good, but it was sort of opening the door for Akane's character that this is kind of a bad thing to go down, this bad rabbit hole, because you lose any semblance of yourself. Which, yes, comes with acting. Acting is where you get into your character. That's literally what makes a great actor, is becoming your character. But there's some points where it almost feels like she's kind of blurring that line in from her role into her personal life. What can I do to catch Aqua's attention? I'm going to change my personality to capture Aqua's attention. Which, yes, seemed like in the first season that direction was going to, well, he really likes I, so I'm going to become I, which is his mother. So there's that question mark there. But yeah, Akane continues to be an interesting character. Like I said, I love that whole puzzle piece little segment. It's very, very intriguing how she kind of fits in those pieces and figures out a character, which she did with Ai, where she had all the information up on her wall. She's searching anything about Ai to become the character. But again, what Akko said there definitely does play in line with what they're talking about with Kana's character kind of breaking out from limiting herself. Like before, she was with a bunch of lackluster actors, and now she's suddenly on a stage play with some very talented people. She's got to step it up, and she's technically doing that. But yeah, it was a little bit depressing when Akane went up there to, try out her role and get herself in character, and they were just like, yeah, that's good. It's like, yeah, that's her only line, whatever. She grabbed people's attention. She looked entertaining. That's it. But again, that plays into, why is this girl here for such a measly role when she's supposed to be like the premier stage performer? Unless they knew that Abiko was going to change things. Yeah, I love when Yoriko came in there and she's just like, oh, hey, Kana, hey, Aqua, these two people that totally saved her actual adaptation. And then Melt over there like, hey, Sensei. And he's like, oh, hey. It's like, what the heck? But yeah, other than that, we had a very brief shot of Ruby. I've said this in the first season, and I'm saying it again in the second season. Ruby's just become such a side character. Like, I absolutely adored her character in the first few episodes of the first season. She is a fantastic character, just going from back here where she literally died of this disease, I think it was cancer or something like that, and then cut forward, she has this new life. She gets to be with the person she adores the most, and she is training because now she can actually move, and she's trying to get herself stronger. They said that she's moving like she's afraid she's going to fall, which, yes, she lived most of her in previous life fearing that she's going to fall, and that will be the last time that she falls. And it was such a heartbreaking moment, and seeing her just finally being able to move around, enjoy life, and become an idol, just like the idol that she looks up to. It was such a great little segment. And then, yes, having her finally come back at the very end of the season, they completely underutilize her character, and I want more Ruby. But she's always such a side character. She's barely ever involved. So hopefully maybe when they get done with this acting stuff, maybe they'll more focus on Ruby. But yeah, they did have a brief moment of her kind of giving an update, talking about how 4 months has passed and that she's doing more performances. They're doing, live streams. And then, yes, Aqua is the enemy of women because she's the boyfriend of Akane, but they're not really boyfriend-girlfriend. Hopefully we'll see more Ruby. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 1 of season 2 of Oshinoko. I think we're running for 13 episodes, so that's really fantastic again. But looking forward to the rest of the season. I'll probably be covering this on a weekly basis because I love this series. I love the industry deep dive. I love the industry stuff. I just eat it up. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the episode. If you know the manga, I don't need spoilers. Please leave the spoilers out of the comments. Even though I say that, people are still going to do it. But additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button, subscribe my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. And again, I'll probably cover this on a weekly basis. I'll also be doing first impressions of all the shows of the season coming up. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, so thanks for membership button below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.